Hello, 6th graders. Welcome to Big Ideas Math, 7th grade math, section 5.5, slope lesson. Pause while you write the lesson number and title in your math notebook. Pause again while you write today's lesson objective in your math notebook. Today's objective is you will define slope and determine the slope of a line from its graph. Pause while you write down the key idea. Copy all of this information into your math notebook. Slope is the rate of change between any 2 points on a line. It is a measure of the steepness of a line. To find the slope of a line, find the ratio of the change in y, that's the vertical change, to the change in x, that's the horizontal change. So slope equals the change in y over the change in x. We're going to go ahead and take a look at example 1. It says find the slope of each line. So first thing to do is to write down this formula because you're going to need it. That is, you will sometimes, especially in later grades, see it written as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x. That's an x, 1. So that's a different way to write the slope formula, but as you can see, it's a change because we're taking the difference. So we're going to take the second y coordinate, which is 4, and we're going to subtract the first y coordinate. So I'm taking the larger of the two numbers minus the smaller of the two numbers. And then since I started with this one, this ordered pair, I have to use that for my x as well. So I have to start with this as being the x2. So I'm going to take 3 minus 0. And so this is where they come up with their 4/3. So the slope of the line is 4 over 3. So it's pretty easy to do that subtraction when you've got a point at 0, 0. So let's take a look at letter B. We're going to take 1, because that's our second y coordinate is 1. And we are going to subtract a negative 2 minus a negative 2, and that equals 3. And that's going to be over our second x coordinate, which is 4 minus a negative 2. That's our first x coordinate, which gives us 4 plus 2, which equals 6, and that's, I'm sorry, I'm running off the edge of my screen here, 3, 6, and then when you simplify that, it's 1/2. So that's sometimes when we talk about slope, we call that rise over run. So that means that for every 1 unit that the line goes up, it goes across 2 units. So that's another way to think about it. So when you look at this line, you can tell that that's what's happening. It goes up 1 and across 2, up 1 and across 2. So that's another way to think about slope. Let's look at these on your own problems, and we'll do them together. So we'll take 2, that's our y2, minus 0, that's our y1, over 5, x2, minus 0, which is x1. So that's 2/5. And then when we look at this one, number 2, we've got our y2 is 8 minus our other y is 5 over 2 minus 1. So our x's are our second x minus our first x. So 8 minus 5 is 3. 2 minus 1 is 1. So that just equals 3 over 1, or 3. Finally, we're going to interpret a slope, which means that we need to tell what that means. So what the slope is indicating to us. So the table shows your earnings for babysitting. Graph the data. Find and interpret the slope of the line through the points. So they've graphed this data for us over here. That is on our graph. So if we babysit 0 hours, we earn $0. That makes sense. If we babysit 2 hours, we earn $4. I'm sorry, 2 hours, we earn $10, and 4 hours, we earn $20. So we graphed it, we drew a line through it. So our change in y, so we take our y2, 40, minus our y1, 20, and that gives us the $20 on the top, and our x2, 8, minus our x1, 4, and that gives us our 4 on the bottom. So that's dollars per hour. And so when we simplify that, 20 divided by 4 is 5. So that means we make $5 per hour babysitting. And now we are going to look at example 2. We go back to example 2. It says use 2 other points to find the slope. Does the slope change? So if we look at the same line and we use 2 other points, so let's use 0, 0, because that's a good one. Nice and easy. And how about 2, 10? So if we go across 2 and up 10. So there we take our y, 10 minus 0 over 2 minus 0. So that equals 10 divided by 2, which equals $5. So the answer is no, our slope does not change. It can't change because it's the same straight line. If you have a straight line, your slope is never going to change. If your line changes and it's not straight, or it's got a bend in it at some point, then yes, your slope will change. But if you have a straight line, it's not going to change. So then it says for number 4, the graph shows the amounts you and your friend earn babysitting. So we've got the same amount that we earned back in example 2. And it says compare the steepness of the lines. What does this mean in the context of the problem? Well, if we look at our friend's line, we can see that it might be going up a little bit faster than ours. So when we're at 2 hours and we're making $10, our friend is at 2 hours and they're making about $15. So that means they're making more money than we are. So you need to write that in your notebook. And then it says find and interpret the slope of the blue line. So we're going to take these 2 points, so 56 and 28, subtract, and that equals 28, if all is right with the world. And then we take 8 and 4 and subtract those. So minus sign equals 4. And then 28 divided by 4 equals $7. So our friend is making $7 per hour. So to complete your flip lesson, you need to have your notes, your vocabulary, and your big ideas math work. your flipped lesson completed and any questions you need your teacher to answer.